Hello and welcome to Bounding into Comics. My name is John Trent. I am the editor-in-chief and the founder of Bounding into Comics, and I've got a story about the Sandman writer Neil Gaiman and him pointing out the obvious about how franchises risk alienating their fans if they don't stick to the source material. So Gaiman's comments came in response to Terry Pratchett's daughter, Rhianna Pratchett, reacting to BBC America's upcoming The Watch show. So if you're unfamiliar with this Watch show, BBC America released a trailer at New York Comic Con, and fans were not having any of it, saying it has nothing to do with Terry Pratchett's The Watch, which is part of his Discworld novels. So BBC America claims the show is, quote, inspired by characters created by Sir Terry Pratchett. However, Rhianna Pratchett responded to the show's initial tease at New York Comic Con, writing, quote, look, I think it's fairly obvious that The Watch shares no DNA with my father's watch. This is neither criticism nor support. It is what it is, end quote. So Twitter user Mr. Quixote would respond to Pratchett's comment and a now deleted comment from Twitter user Kleister Writer, which I was unable to find. But Mr. Quixote wrote, because the source material is fertile grounds for new exploration, and justifying the cost of making good film is easier when there is a fan base for source material. So that's when Gaiman would chime in. He wrote, yes, but the fan base are fans, and they like the source material because it's the source material they like. So if you do something else, you risk alienating the fans on a monumental scale. He added, it's not Batman if he's now a news reporter in a yellow trench coat with a pet bat. And he's exactly right. There's a reason that Hollywood executives don't really come up with original ideas, but instead rely on adapting novels and comic books. It's because those novels and books already have a proven track record. Not only do they have a proven track record of great storytelling, but they also have a built-in fan base who already enjoy the original story. So when these Hollywood creatives, if you can even call them that, decide they want to adapt or continue stories in a franchise without respecting that source material, they shouldn't be surprised when fans jump ship en masse. In fact, Gaiman's comments can be extrapolated to the current storytelling problems seen in once-beloved franchises. Franchises like Star Wars, Star Trek, and even Terminator. The creatives rejected the original source material from these franchises in order to try and put their own spin on it. With Star Wars, they radically altered the character of Luke Skywalker without providing a proper explanation for his massive change of character that led him to cutting himself off from the Force and hiding away on the remote planet of Ahch-To. The whole idea of cutting yourself off from the Force is actually anathema to the entire idea of the Force as originally presented in the original Star Wars films. The Force surrounds and penetrates every living being, as Obi-Wan Kenobi explained to Luke in the original Star Wars film.
The Force?
The Force is what gives the Jedi his power. It's an energy field created by all living things. It surrounds us and penetrates us. It binds the galaxy together.
Qui-Gon Jinn would also explain midi-chlorians and their relationship with the Force in The Phantom Menace.
Midi-chlorians are a microscopic life form that resides within all living cells.
They live inside me.
Inside your cells, yes. And we are symbionts with them.
Symbionts?
Life forms living together for mutual advantage. Without the midi-chlorians, life could not exist, and we would have no knowledge of the Force. They continually speak to us, telling us the will of the Force.
In The Last Jedi, they would also introduce hyperspace ramming in order to destroy massive starships. If this was actually possible, as many others have pointed out, the Trade Federation and the Separatists would have wiped out the Galactic Republic with their droids hyperspace ramming entire planets that were part of the Galactic Republic, let alone the Rebel Alliance using it to attack the Empire, or vice versa. I could go on and on about just how much they've altered Star Wars, but the proof is in the pudding. Since The Force Awakens, the subsequent films saw massive decreases in their box office hauls. As reported by The Numbers, The Force Awakens raked in a total of $2.065 billion at the global box office and $936.6 million in North America alone. The Last Jedi wouldn't cross the $2 billion mark. It only earned $1.3 billion at the global box office and only $620.1 million in North America. Finally, The Rise of Skywalker eked over the 1 billion mark with 1.072 billion at the global box office. It earned only 515.2 million in North America. The decrease in the North American box office from The Force Awakens to The Rise of Skywalker is nearly 45%. That is a massive drop. The global box office decrease is even greater at just over 48%. That is a huge drop. People were abandoning this series en masse. Almost 50% of their gross was reduced. And that means people weren't going to see these movies. And they weren't going to see them multiple times. Star Trek has suffered similar decreases in their audience, not only at the box office, but also in television ratings. Canadian tracking website Numeris reported that when Star Trek Discovery debuted in Canada, it was the #1 show of the week and was viewed by 2.274 million viewers. So Star Trek hasn't released their US numbers. We're just now getting some of that with Discovery re-showing their first season, and those numbers are quite low. But we do have when it first aired in Canada, and again, as I said, Numeris reported that when Star Trek Discovery debuted in Canada, it was the #1 show of the week and was viewed by 2.274 million viewers. However, by episode 2, viewership was down to 1.444 million viewers. By the show's finale, the show didn't even rank in Canada's top 30 shows, having viewership somewhere below 927,000 viewers. Crunching the numbers, that's a decline of at least 59% of its viewers from the premiere episode. And it's probably more than that, given the fact that they only report their top 30 shows, and we know that it was below 927,000. So 59% is being very generous on how much it lost. And there's probably a reason for that massive decline. YouTuber Nerdrotic, aka Gary Beekler, explains.
And for Alex Kurtzman to come in and just wipe away 50 plus years worth of canon, that is disrespecting the fan. Alex Kurtzman was gifted one of the greatest franchises in American history. He was given the keys to the castle. He invited a bunch of hookers and peed in the pool. That is what fans have a problem with. It is clearly in the wrong hands, considering what we have seen with Walter Mosley. It betrayed the ideals of Gene Roddenberry and Star Trek.
Star Wars and Star Trek are not the only major franchises that are disrespecting the source material that made the franchises what they were. Terminator did the same thing in Terminator Dark Fate by executing John Connor in the opening moments of the film. The film only earned $250.3 million at the global box office. It had an estimated production budget of $185 million, meaning it was a flop. For comparison, Terminator 2 Judgment Day, which was released in 1991, had a global box office haul of $515.3 million. Its production budget was $100 million. So just think of that. The Terminator 2 Judgment Day had double the box office haul of Dark Fate in 1991 numbers. So that's not even including inflation. That's just absolutely crazy how much better Terminator 2 Judgment Day did compared to Dark Fate. And it's because they disrespected the source material. They disrespected the story. And Star Wars, Star Trek, and Terminator aren't the only ones. The list of franchise failures includes X-Men, Dark Phoenix, Doctor Who, Men in Black, Charlie's Angels. It's not just the films and TV, it's the entire comic book industry is in decline. Marvel and DC, they are doing the same thing. They disregard their canon, they disregard their characters, they're radically altering them. They're changing their sexuality, they're changing their genders, they're doing all of this stuff, and people are rejecting it. They're not watching it, and they're fed up with it. And Neil Gaiman he makes it clear he makes it really clear that he's 100% right. If you do something else, you risk alienating the fans on a monumental scale. It's not Batman if he's now a news reporter in a yellow trench coat with a pet bat. Just like I was talking about yesterday, it's not James Bond if you're literally altering who he is from Ian Fleming's original novels. That's not James Bond anymore. That's just a generic spy person wearing the skin of James Bond. It's not James Bond. The list goes on because these Hollywood creatives do not respect the source material and in many cases appear to be going out of their way in order to destroy them. That's exactly what they're doing. They're going out of their way to destroy the source material. The Last Jedi is an absolute perfect example. It changes so much that we know about Star Wars. And while the creatives are disrespecting the source material, true to Gaiman's words, the fans are rejecting them and fleeing the franchises en masse. To quote Doomcock, without respect, we reject. And that's not just a catchphrase. That is literally happening. You can see it happening within these franchises, and it's not just one franchise. You're seeing it across the board. Let me know what you think about Neil Gaiman's comments